Anna, can I confess something a little embarrassing? Of course. This already sounds interesting. A few days ago, I posted a photo online. Then, I checked my phone almost every 5 minutes. Let me guess. You were waiting for people to like it? Exactly. And every time someone liked it, I felt happy. But when nobody did, I started wondering, was the photo bad? Do people not like me? Isn't it amazing how quickly our minds jump to those conclusions?
The funny part is, I didn't even like the photo that much. I only wanted other people to like it. I think many people listening right now have done the exact same thing. Today, we're talking about something we all experience, wanting other people's approval. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Real English Podcast, where you improve your English through relaxed, meaningful conversations. I'm Anna.
And I'm Daniel. Whether you're listening while driving, walking, studying, or relaxing at home, we're really happy you're here. Today's topic is something that quietly affects almost every part of our lives.
Seeking approval. Why do we care so much about what other people think? And more importantly, how can we stop letting other people's opinions control our happiness? If you've ever been afraid to say no, worried about being judged, or changed yourself just to fit in, this episode is for you. Daniel, when was the first time you remember worrying about what people thought of you?
Oh, that's easy. Middle school.
Really?
Definitely. I remember buying a pair of bright orange sneakers. I loved them. Absolutely loved them. Orange? That's a bold choice. Exactly. I thought they looked amazing. The first day I wore them to school, one boy laughed and said, "Those shoes look ridiculous."
Oh no.
That was it. I never wore them again.
Seriously? Yes. One opinion. Just one. And suddenly I believed everyone hated my shoes. That's amazing when you think about it. Not because it was funny, but because our brains often do exactly that. One negative comment becomes, everyone thinks this, even though nobody else said anything. Exactly. Looking back now, I wish I had kept wearing them because you liked them. Exactly. I stopped dressing for myself and started dressing for someone else. I think that's where approval seeking begins. Little by little, we stop asking, what do I like? And we start asking, what will everyone else like?
Wow, I've never thought about it that way.
It doesn't happen overnight. It happens one small decision at a time. Can I ask you something?
Of course. Do you think everyone wants approval? Or only insecure people?
That's a great question.
I think everyone wants to feel accepted. That's completely human.
So, wanting approval isn't bad?
Not at all. Imagine you cooked dinner for your family.
Okay. You'd probably hope they enjoyed it. That's normal. Right. The problem starts when your happiness depends entirely on their reaction. Ah, there's the difference. Exactly. There's a big difference between appreciating compliments and needing compliments to feel valuable. That reminds me of something that happened at work. Tell us.
A few months ago, my manager asked everyone for ideas during a meeting. I actually had a really good idea. At least, I thought it was good.
So what happened?
Nothing. I stayed completely silent.
Why?
Because I kept thinking, what if everyone thinks it's stupid? What if they laugh? What if I'm wrong?
Did anyone laugh?
No, because I never said anything. That's the sad part about fear of approval. Sometimes it doesn't stop us after we failed. It stops us before we've even tried. Exactly. And after the meeting, another person suggested almost the same idea. Everyone loved it. Ouch. That must have hurt. It did. But honestly, I wasn't angry with them. I was disappointed in myself because I realized the only person who stopped me was me. That's such an important lesson. Sometimes the biggest obstacle isn't another person. It's the conversation happening inside our own head.
And that conversation can be surprisingly convincing.
It certainly can.
Can I ask one more question?
Always.
Why do we care so much about what strangers think? Someone online? Someone we've never met? Why can one comment ruin our whole day?
That's a fascinating question. And I think the answer goes back much further than social media, much further than school. It goes back to how humans survived for thousands of years.
Back then, being part of a group wasn't just comforting, it was necessary. If the group accepted you, you were safer. If they rejected you, your chances of survival became much smaller. So our brains still carry that ancient instinct? Exactly. Even though the world has changed, our brains haven't changed nearly as quickly. That's why something as small as being ignored or criticized can feel much bigger than it really is. Wow. So when someone doesn't reply to my message, my brain sometimes acts as if I've been rejected by the whole tribe. It sounds funny, but in a way, yes. Our emotional brain doesn't always know the difference between a life-threatening rejection and someone simply being busy.
That explains a lot. I've definitely spent hours wondering, did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Only to find out their phone battery had died.
Exactly. Our imagination loves filling in missing information. And unfortunately, it usually fills it with negative stories.
Can I tell you something?
Always. I actually think caring about what people think can sometimes be a good thing.
Really? Tell me more.
Well, if nobody cared about anyone else's opinion, wouldn't people become rude or selfish? That's an excellent point. And I actually agree, to a certain extent. So seeking approval isn't always unhealthy? No. There's an important difference between respect and dependence.
What do you mean? Respect means I care about how my actions affect other people. Dependence means I need everyone to approve of me before I can feel good about myself. Oh, those are completely different things.
Exactly. Kindness comes from respect. People-pleasing comes from dependence.
I wish someone had explained that to me years ago.
You know, I remember something from university.
Really?
There was a presentation in one of my classes. I'd prepared for days. I knew the material. I practiced in front of a mirror. I even timed myself. Sounds like you were ready. I thought so. But just before walking to the front, I noticed two students whispering. Oh no. Immediately, my mind created a story. They're laughing at me. going to think I'm terrible. Everyone's waiting for me to fail.
Were they? Not at all. After class, one of them came over and asked for my notes. They'd actually been talking about how organized my presentation looked. That's incredible. Your mind completely invented a different reality. Exactly. And that's what approval seeking often does. It doesn't let us see what's actually happening. It shows us our biggest fears instead.
That reminds me of my first job.
Tell us.
I always volunteered for extra work. I said yes to everything. Working late, covering other people's shifts, taking on projects that weren't even mine. You wanted to make a good impression. Exactly. At first, everyone appreciated it. But after a while, people simply expected it. That's something many people experience.
One day, I finally said, "I'm sorry. I can't stay late today." Honestly, I felt guilty all afternoon. What happened? My manager smiled and said, "No problem. We'll manage." Really? That was the funny part. The disaster I'd imagined never happened. The only person making me feel guilty was me. That's such a powerful lesson. Sometimes we spend far more energy fearing people's reactions than they ever spend reacting.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
Do you think it's actually possible to stop caring what people think completely? Honestly? No.
Really?
I don't think that's the goal. We're human. We'll always care. At least a little.
Then what should the goal be?
To choose carefully whose opinion deserves a place in your heart.
I love that. Not every opinion deserves equal importance.
Exactly. If someone loves you, knows you, wants the best for you, their advice can help you grow. But a stranger leaving a negative comment online doesn't know your story, your struggles, your dreams, or the effort you've made to get where you are. So maybe we've been giving microphones to people who should only have whispers. Daniel, that's one of my favorite things you've said today.
I surprised myself with that one.
Because it's true. The loudest voices in our lives aren't always the wisest ones.
I think I'm beginning to understand something.
What's that?
Confidence doesn't grow when everyone approves of you. It grows when you keep being yourself, even when everyone doesn't.
Beautifully said. And in the final part of today's episode, we're going to explore practical ways to build that kind of confidence, little by little, without pretending to be fearless.
Yes.
Daniel, before we finish today's conversation, I'd like to leave our listeners with something practical, because understanding why we seek approval is helpful, but knowing what to do next is even more important.
I couldn't agree more.
So, where do we begin? Much smaller than most people think.
Smaller?
Yes. Most people believe confidence comes from doing something huge, giving a speech, changing careers, starting a business.
But confidence rarely begins there.
Exactly.
Confidence usually begins with one tiny decision, one honest sentence, one small no, one opinion you finally share. I like that. Small acts of courage, repeated every day.
Exactly.
Let's share 5 simple habits that can help people stop seeking approval.
What's the first one?
The next time you want someone's opinion, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what do I think? Before asking, what do they think?
I love that. Sometimes we ask other people so quickly that we never hear our own voice.
Exactly. Your opinion deserves to be heard too. Habit 2. Practice saying no. Learn to say no. Kindly. Not angrily, not rudely, simply honestly.
That sounds easy, but it really isn't. It takes practice. You don't have to explain yourself for 10 minutes. Sometimes, "I'm sorry, I can't today," is enough. I wish I'd learned that years ago. Habit 3. Stop explaining everything. I've noticed something about myself. Whenever I make a decision, I immediately start explaining it. Almost like I'm asking permission. That's so common. Sometimes we explain ourselves because we're afraid people won't approve. Exactly. But not every decision needs a long explanation. Sometimes, "I've decided to do this" is a complete sentence.
Wow, that feels strangely powerful.
Habit 4. Accept that not everyone will like you. This one sounds difficult. It is, but it's also incredibly freeing. No matter how kind, how intelligent, or how generous you are, someone won't like you.
Even the nicest people in the world have critics.
Exactly.
Trying to be liked by everyone usually means you're no longer being yourself. I'd rather be respected for who I am than loved for pretending to be someone else.
Beautifully said.
And the last habit?
Keep the promises you make to yourself. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
If you tell yourself, "I'm going to read for 10 minutes," do it. If you promise, "I'm going to practice English today," do it. Every promise you keep teaches your brain, "I can trust myself."
So confidence isn't something we find. It's something we build.
Exactly. One promise at a time.
You know, I realized something during today's conversation.
What's that?
I've spent years trying to make everyone else happy, but I rarely asked whether I was making myself proud.
That's a beautiful question. Because the person you'll spend your whole life with is yourself. And if you're always changing to please everyone, you slowly forget who you really are. Exactly. The goal isn't to become someone everybody approves of. The goal is to become someone you respect.
You know what time it is.
Your favorite part?
Always. Let's explore today's vocabulary.
Approval. Approval means permission, support, or a positive opinion from someone. Example, she stopped waiting for everyone's approval before following her dream.
Validation. Validation means feeling accepted or recognized by other people. Example, he looked for validation on social media instead of trusting himself.
Boundaries. Boundaries are healthy limits that protect your time, energy, and well-being. Example, learning to say no helped her build stronger boundaries.
Self-worth.
Self-worth is the belief that you are valuable simply because you are you. Example: your self-worth shouldn't depend on other people's opinions.
And our final word, authenticity. Authenticity means being genuine and true to yourself. Example: people often trust authenticity more than perfection.
Let's do a quick review. Approval, a positive opinion or acceptance.
Validation, looking for recognition from others. Boundaries, healthy limits that protect you. Self-worth, knowing your own value. Authenticity, being true to yourself.
Anna, what's today's quote?
Here it is. The moment you stop asking everyone who you should be is the moment you finally become yourself.
That's beautiful. I think I'm going to remember that one for a long time.
If today's conversation reminded you to trust yourself a little more, we hope you'll carry that feeling into this week.
Remember, people's opinions will always change, but your values, your kindness, and your character can stay with you forever. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Keep learning, keep growing, and don't be afraid to become the person you are proud of.